So it's dawning on me now as I turn the corner on 40 years that the best teacher I will ever have in life is my own body. As humans, we are of the earth. We literally come from the soil, from the dirt. I don't think that I'm a spiritual being having a human earthly experience. I think I'm a human being, period. And so I've been focused lately on finding a path to healing and wholeness through my own body. I think that this is the way we have lost. If we can speak of a fall of humanity, a fall from grace, it may be twofold. I think there's the hitch that occurs in our developmental process, psychologically speaking, when our human consciousness develops and we become self-aware. And in the midst of that dualistic perception, we begin to put up walls and see ourselves as separate from the rest of the world, which is necessary and useful for our survival. But it is ultimately based on an illusion and a lie, because the truth is we are all one, we are all interconnected. All of life is one. But we become alienated in our minds due to this subject-object awareness, this dualistic perception. I think we can also speak of a fall of humanity historically in terms of the time in which we became disconnected from the earth. And if we can read into the old allegory, the story of the Garden of Eden, we see once upon a time humans were hunter-gatherers. They ate of the fruit of the land as they needed it, but then they obtained knowledge, and we settled down and began to farm the land, and we enjoyed a surplus. And not long after that, someone decided to put the surplus food under lock and key, and civilization began to develop hierarchy, social structures, and little by little, more and more, we became disconnected from the earth. And the farther away we moved from the earth and the farther away we move from our own bodies, the more deeply we feel this fall, and the more broadly we miss the mark. And so I guess it makes sense that to return from that exile in our experience is necessarily a return to our bodies and a return to the earth. This is what I like more and more about certain indigenous forms of spirituality. It's very much rooted in the earth and in the body and in our sense experience of reality. Before our consciousness developed, when we experienced reality directly through our senses, we also lost something when we crossed that threshold. We got lost in our heads, in our interpretive frameworks of the world of reality. That division between us and other people, us and the world, the conflict that necessarily ensues from that manifests on every level of our experience as human beings, within ourselves, between one another, interpersonally, then between nations, states, and races, and so on. It's all a manifestation of our disconnect from ourselves, our own bodies, and the earth. So finding the way of shalom, the way of peace, the way of wholeness, the return from that exile must necessarily mean a return to our bodies and to the earth.